How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Trail Tales, episode number 107. I am a thru hiker, I am a peak bagger, I am a huge hiking nerd, and I am named Kyle O'Grady. And every single week on this podcast, I chat with other hiking nerds that are, not named Kyle O'Grady about their experiences on the trail. Baker Bokorney is back for episode number 1069, it seems like at this point. We went into this with absolutely no plan at all, and we actually ended up getting interrupted about 20 minutes in because Baker had to take an emergency leave and go do something real quick. It wasn't a big deal or anything, but he did have to leave kind of abruptly. And so, the first 20 minutes were recorded like 2 days before the last part of the episode. So, sorry about that. I'm not even going to try to give a preview of what we talked about because we were all over the freaking place in this episode. It was a lot of fun. I love doing episodes with Baker, and I think I'm going to try to, I know he's like on a lot. He's like the most frequent guest, but I'm going to try to get him on even more because honestly, they're just always super fun for me. And I think he likes them too. So with that said, we're going to get into the episode. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes if you like this podcast. Please do that if you listen to this podcast a lot. Leave a 5-star review. It helps show that the show isn't just a bunch of, it is a bunch of nonsense, especially this episode, but it shows that people actually listen to this bunch of nonsense, so that's really cool. It helps out the show. And I just got to give a huge shout out to Rose, my editor, Rose Comics Turner, because she continues to kill it in the editing game. So with that said, let's get into the episode number 107 with Baker Bokorney. Welcome, everybody, to Trail Tales episode 107. All right, guitar's going away. Baker's back. What's up, Baker?
Actually, could you bring the guitar back? I think at one point I asked you if you would play some songs, and you're like, I don't know if I want to, but I feel like it'd be cool to. Of course, you just told me you didn't know you're supposed to plug your electric guitar in, so maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we don't want to hear that. I don't know.
What do you want me to play?
Can you play
Wonderwall? Yes, I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say Wonderwall. There we go.
Oh no, I went to this. Yeah, see, I already fucked up Wonderwall. I think that's probably a sign I should not play this guitar.
But there you go, folks. He knows Wonderwall. That's the number one song, number one request. That and Freebird. Those are the number one requested songs. Number 1 and 2.
I know exclusively Puddle of Mudd songs. That's it.
Puddle of Mudd. Wow, that's a really strong choice. If you're gonna pick one band to only learn their songs, that's a strong choice right there.
Fucking Wes Scantlin, that guy's nuts. I would like to go for
members.
Oh, dude! Come on! You must have seen that video. This was probably like in the spring, last spring. So it was like almost a year ago now, when Puddle of Mudd covered that Nirvana song. And it was just terrible. You didn't see that?
Oh no, man. I haven't. Oh.
And he's
it sounds so good.
You got to watch this. I won't even spoil it. For everybody listening, if you haven't seen this, it has nothing to do with hiking. But just go type in "Puddle of Mudd" about a girl cover about a girl's the Nirvana song.
Oh no! Why would you ruin it? It's such a good song. Don't ruin it.
It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
Okay, and they were being like sincere with it too.
Yeah, they were. They were. It's tough. It's tough, man.
Oh boy. I can't wait to watch that.
Like, you can tell before he even starts singing, just based on his facial expressions, that like this is not going to go well. But
wow.
Anyway, oh man, I kind of want to watch that now. We won't though. I'm gonna watch it afterwards though. I've seen it 1,000 times, but anytime I'm having a bad day, I just watch that. And I'm like, okay.
We won't subject your listeners to that. I'm sorry we already started off without not talking about hiking. I apologize.
I know this is like the podcast sin. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I fucking hate it when I'm listening to a podcast like about a certain thing and they don't talk about the thing for like 10 minutes. That kind of annoys me. Granted, we've only been talking for like 2 minutes, so people can suck it up. But
they can fast forward.
We also don't really have any plan for this episode, so maybe we should just run our mouths the whole time. But anyways, Baker's back. This is his 1012th episode of Trail Tales.
Yeah,
something like that. I think it's kind of funny that we don't really talk to each other at all until we do these. Like, I haven't really talked to you since the last time we we did an episode, which was
Well,
I guess 7 episodes ago.
Yeah, we especially don't talk whenever I don't receive any of your Instagram DMs, and then I have no idea that you've been trying to schedule a podcast for like 2 weeks, and then you have to direct message Little Bear and say, "Hey, is Baker still alive?" And then I go open up Instagram, and I'm like logged out, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, especially recently, we have not been communicating very well at all.
I don't even have your cell phone number.
I know. I was thinking I actually probably should just give that to you.
I know,
because,
right?
Like Instagram, I don't go on it very often, so I don't notice if I get logged out. So
you still haven't posted anything on Instagram since September of 2019 either, which is kind of funny.
I still have day one from our September 2019 hike, and maybe days 2 through 5 will get posted eventually, and then maybe
people have been they're just hanging on, man. They're just waiting for that.
Like, God, suspense is killing me. He must be really crafting a really nice post. Really good detail, kind of describing the day.
They're just dying to know how day 2 went. Like,
what happened? They're worried that I died. Like, they think I live posted it on trail, and like day 1 was an amazing day, but then something terrible happened on day 2.
He still doesn't have service.
I'm still out there. I'm still in the collegiates. I was off trail, so who knows? My body could be out there. You'd never find it. This is getting dark really fast.
I know. It's also I think I said this in our last episode, but I also think it's funny that like you've been plugging your Instagram on like all these episodes.
I know.
I don't post anything.
I still get people who like do start following. Like my follower count has increased by maybe 10 every 2 months. Well, not even that, but it does steadily increase, or at least like I can see that people are starting to follow me. So I feel bad that people are like probably listening to your episodes and be like, oh, this is cool. I guess I'll follow this guy, and then they're like, yeah, and then like a couple weeks later or like a couple months later, they're like, yeah, the radio silence. I haven't even. There's nothing. So
the only thing you use Instagram for is to set up these episodes with me via DM, pretty much.
Right. That is the primary reason to keep it. Maybe I should, because I don't know. It's I actually do have some pretty cool like photos from that hike, and then a hike I did, like a bunch of hiking I did this past summer, and it's just all reminiscing because it's like not good hiking season right now, so I'm just thinking about all the great times that were, and now I'm like, it's snow everywhere, I can't hike, but that is changing rapidly.
Yes,
things are melting, so I'm getting pretty excited.
Yes, things are slowly starting to melt here too. Although it was cold as shit today, which I wasn't a fan of, but it's still early March, so I don't know what I've lived here my whole life, and that's still surprising to me, I guess. So
should know better. Yeah,
I should know better. I guess another reason why you could keep the Instagram around, Baker's, so that when you go on your next long distance hike, like a proper through hike, because all your other hikes since the AT haven't been proper, but
essentially pointless. Yeah, they're not even real hikes, and it's not a real through hike. That's what we're saying, people. If you're not through hiking, if you don't hike every inch of an entire trail, your whole hike is completely pointless. You can just erase that experience from your memory.
That's basically the premise of the video I posted last week. Well, I posted it today, but by the time people hear it, it'll be last week. That's an exaggeration, but I posted about yellow. I don't know if you watched it, but I made a video about yellow blazing.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Touchy subject.
Yeah, and like I won't. People are probably sick of hearing me talk about it after that video, but
yeah,
it's like I thought I did a pretty fair job. It wasn't just like, oh fuck yellow blazers. Like obviously, like I explained that I don't like yellow blazing that much, but I tried to give other people credit too, and at least of course we're only one day in so far, but so far the comments have been pretty understanding. A couple people had issue with it, but they were respectful in their dissent, so it's okay. So it's been all right so far. I don't know. I almost used you as an example in the video. As an example of someone who cheated and didn't. No, just kidding. As an example of
essentially, yes.
Because you talked about it on the show. I'm not even gonna try to remember what fucking episode number it was, but you said that you missed the Smokies because you got injured. I think it was, right.
Yep.
And it was like you. I actually did tell this story, but then I ended up cutting it out in the video because I needed to cut down on time. But I just was like talking about examples of people who skip sections, but like it's like different than like the yellow blazing I was kind of talking about. And like I used your example of like, oh, it just didn't make sense to like have Little Bear hike on And what, are you just gonna hike half the trail without her after that? Because like you're
Yeah,
behind her,
basically
like
be like 10 to 50 miles behind for the next 5 weeks until I can finally catch up or whatever it was.
yeah, like that just doesn't even make sense. So that I use that example as like, okay, this when I'm talking about yellow blazing and I'm kind of saying that I don't like people doing it, I'm not really talking about like that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, I get it. It's kind of a nuanced it's a nuanced thing, but yeah, technically I did yellow blaze the AT. So yeah, everyone, you can take away my thru hiker card. I'll turn it into the thru hiker authorities immediately after this episode. Actually, I think you just shred it. I'm just gonna shred it, burn it in a campfire, whatever.
The ATC doesn't recognize your hike now. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, actually they do. You only got to do 2,000 miles. I'm pretty sure, but they call it the 2,000 miler. I don't. Well,
yeah, I think they call it something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I did look it up, and I was like, I haven't sent in my thing to get the official. Have you done that? Did you get your official certificate?
I never do that stuff whenever I complete something. I did it when I finished the long trail the very first time because I was 16 and I was like, oh my god, I get my certificate or whatever. And then after that, I've never submitted a single hike. So maybe I'm a fraud. Honestly, I could be a fraud.
No, I mean, I looked into if I could even qualify after the hike because I was just kind of curious, and I think it says basically you have to it's like a best effort to hike every mile, every available mile. And I was
maybe that's what it said then. But right now, and the only reason I know this is because I just made the video and I looked it up because of it. Let me pull up the screenshot so I can quote it. But the ATC's current definition of a thru hike is, it says, we define a thru hike as a hike of the entire AT in 12 months or less. That's it.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay, so yeah.
Sorry, hate to break it to you, Baker, but
damn, it doesn't count anymore. All right, not a thru hiker, everyone. I have to rescind so many things now.
It's tough, man. I have to go back and edit out all the times I called you a thru hiker and all the previous episodes.
I'm thinking of all the Instagram posts, all the podcast. It's gonna be a real mess.
It's tough.
We're gonna have to overdub every time it says thru hiker section. It'll be clearly edited in there, It's not gonna be clean at all, but we have to do it. The record must be corrected.
That's right. That's so funny, honestly. In the video, I also raised the point. I'm like, they're also not even recognizing the ATC anybody's thru hikes from 2020 or 2021 at this point.
Oh, really?
So I'm like, I feel like their definition isn't you can't just use that as the source of truth for the definition of a thru hike. What if you yellow blazed in 2020? Then you're doubly not recognized.
Yeah,
that's tough. That's tough.
Super illegitimate.
You basically just didn't hike.
Pretty much. Again, erase that entire experience from your memory because it was all pointless.
It was all pointless.
That's probably what your video said, right? Because you gotta take someone has to take a hard stance on this,
I guess so. I did a little bit. I thought I was pretty fair though. It seems like most people thought I was fair, even if they disagreed.
Yeah,
but most people agreed because I'm the man.
Of course.
Yeah,
you mentioned the Instagram for while I'm on a thru hike or a long hike, and actually recently Little Bear's been putting together a photo book of our AT thru hike or her thru hike and my section hike, I guess, if we have to be specific here. But yeah, she's putting together a photo book, and so she's including excerpts from the trail journals that I wrote on there. And so I was like, I don't know, am I even going to want to go read this stuff later on, go back and read it? But she's saying how it's been super valuable, and she loves to be able to put she's put some pretty cool quotes splashed across one of them is really early on. It's in Georgia, and it's one of us is climbing up a pretty steep section of trail in the photo, and then there's a caption below that says this no longer feels like a vacation. I guess I said that at some point in my in a trail journal, and it's that is kind of cool to
by trail journal. Do you mean your Instagram caption?
Yeah, sorry, the Instagram post.
Using that as the trail. Okay, I got
yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, actually, that's kind of at the time I was like, I wonder if I'll ever go back and read this. It was cool. It was fun to do at the time for family and friends who just kind of wanted to know how I was doing instead of texting the same thing to 20 people every time I got into town. I could just post on Instagram. And then there were also people who I don't know so closely personally that were following, and they enjoyed it too. But I was curious if I would go back ever and read these things. And I've done a little bit, but not too much. But Yeah, Little Bear says it's super. She really likes them. She likes having them, and she's putting them in this photo book. So I'm pretty excited about that. She's
Nice.
been
Yeah,
working
that's
pretty hard
cool.
on that.
Everyone's got like their little way of not commemorating, but of like documenting, I guess.
Yeah.
That you can go back and look at. And for me, I mean, I made like periodic posts, but I never did like a journal type thing.
Yeah.
You know, I never kept like a really detailed log, but I think I've mentioned this. I've mentioned every fucking thing about all of my hikes at this point on the podcast, so I should probably just stop saying I think I've mentioned this before. But I've definitely mentioned this before. But I would just write like little notes in AWOL. So like I would, if something interesting happened at a mile marker, I would like actually I remember this because I was talking about it with Rose in our episode. But I would just like circle the mile marker and just write like a little note or whatever.
Yeah.
And Flossie and I were really bored the other night. And so like we literally just like there's just nothing to fucking do. And so I went back and I was like looking through my AWOL and like I'd kind of glanced in it a little bit from time to time, but I'd never really gone through and like actually looked through every page and like really paid attention to my notes and stuff.
Right.
And it was actually really cool because like a lot of the time I would just write like a sentence about something that wouldn't really mean, it's not very descriptive, but like it would be enough to kind of spur my memory and be like, oh yeah, I remember like what I was talking about there. And then there were some times where I have absolutely fucking no idea what I was talking about. Sometimes I would just write like ate lunch with fucking Indy or whatever, which that like obviously I don't really remember those. But then sometimes they were like, I wish I remembered what I wrote, but a couple of them were like really specific things that like based on the description I thought I would have remembered what it was, but I just don't. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that says. I should look through those and maybe that'd be an idea for an episode at some point.
Yeah, just like funny excerpts from like random trail journals and stuff.
Yeah, I could just like go through. I'm brainstorming live on the air right now, Baker. It's incredible. Live on the podcast air a week later when everyone hears this.
On the air. This podcast is being broadcast over some sort of, I guess technically from my computer to my router over Wi-Fi. That is over the air, if you will. Yeah, so okay. True. All right, I'll take it. I'm also connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm not hardwired on my computer. Whoa, either, so. Not hardwired. He's living life dangerously, people. Do you hear that?
Well, you know, I probably would have. I tried to, but when you live in a house that was made in like 1960 or some shit, and people never really gave a shit because it's a student house and all this stuff, it's kind of hard to hardwire. But fortunately, our Wi-Fi is dope, and I've never had any issues.
Yeah.
I also, going back to the like, I guess documenting your thing or whatever, I mean I took a decent amount of pictures and stuff, but I found that the things I go back and look at the most are my Instagram stories. Partially because I put them all in a YouTube video, so it's like pretty easy to go back and watch them, but also I mean you can watch them on Instagram too. You can see all your archive stories. We're talking about Instagram a lot today. And a lot for someone who doesn't even use Instagram.
I know. I was logged out for like 6 weeks or however long. I didn't even know.
But yeah, I found that like going back and watching those, it's almost like I've never been one to like write that much, or I never enjoyed it anyways. So I found that just like I'd rather just take some video. I guess that kind of makes sense given.
I was going to say that makes total sense. And I'm the opposite. Like I think when I was starting the Florida Trail, I took a few videos on my phone, but I was like, this is a lot of work, especially like, it's just kind of weird, like talking to a camera. Like when you watch a YouTube video, it's like, seems very natural for someone to be talking into a camera and you're watching them. But like, if you ever watch someone talking into a camera, that's eventually going to become like a trail, vlog or whatever. To me, it seems kind of strange. Like, I'm curious how
it's awkward. That's why a lot of people don't like to do it around other people. Like for me, it's pretty rare that I'll like talk to my camera around people that I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I did some videos, but then I also was like, okay, there's just then I thought about how am I actually going to like ever edit these? Like don't really have video editing skills. And I was like, this is tough. I was like, you know what? Writing is like way simpler. Like I can handle write down some notes. I can do it at the end of the day, like in my, in the tent when I'm like really tired anyway. And I'm kind of just like relaxing or resting. And then I can also release it as I'm going. Like I could use it to send out updates. Whereas like, there's no way I'm going to like edit any sort of like serious video.
Yeah.
But I guess like what you did posting just a story, like that's good enough, like just some quick clips or whatever. It's not like the same quality of what you're producing now, but it's, it's something you can do on the fly.
Yeah.
And that works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun, and people seem to enjoy. I mean, I didn't really have any following back then, but it was just, people I knew and vaguely knew. They seemed to enjoy it. I got quite a few messages from people along the way that I like kind of knew. Maybe I had like a class with them or something, but like I don't really actually know them. And they'd be like, oh, this has been fun to watch. So I appreciated that. Of course, most of those people have probably unfollowed me now because they're sick of hearing me post about hiking shit. Because that's always like since we're talking about Instagram, I'm just going to keep going.
Do it.
This is the hashtag Instagram struggle section. It was and still is kind of awkward for me whenever I try to do any sort of like promotion or even just like anything at all relating to like the YouTube channel or the podcast. Whenever I post about any of that stuff on my Instagram, it's awkward for me because most of the people that follow me at this point follow me because of like this and because of the YouTube channel and stuff.
Right.
Like the vast majority of people that follow me. But I still have like, people that are left over from before all this stuff that I just know that don't care about hiking, that just know me personally or knew me in the past. And so I just feel kind of weird. Like I'm still like aware whenever I post on Instagram that people that didn't follow me for this hiking content bullshit are going to see that stuff and be like, what the fuck? Does this guy think he's like some like fucking Casey Neistat shit? So I don't know.
Because it was your personal Instagram first, right? You cannot just turn it into your
and it still is like it still is
right.
my
That's true.
Instagram, but
that's
it's
true.
like,
but I see what you mean. Now it's more of like it's more of like a influencer type of content at times. Like if or like with the promotion parts, if you do that, that's true.
Which I honestly I don't even really post on Instagram that much compared to a lot of other people that make content, but I probably should.
You don't want to inundate people. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you really want to get like their attention, you kind of probably have to do it free. I don't know. I don't know how the algorithms
it's better to
work.
post. I would post as much as I could. That doesn't make any sense. So I was gonna say I would post as much as I could if I could, but I would post more if I could. Yeah. But I literally just don't have time and energy. I'm not gonna force it. So
that makes sense.
Hashtag Instagram struggles, everybody. It's tough life being the number one hot new hiking influencer. Let me tell you,
it is. It's not easy being a rising star. It's not easy. You don't know when you've gone too high, when you're going to fly too close to the sun, if you will. That's your real problem, right? Is just that you are like just gaining followers. I mean, it's like how many millions now, right? It's tough to
millions.
A million. I think that's like
it's almost 2 million millions.
Well, no. Are you multiplying or are you adding? I don't know. Okay,
I forget the order of operations here. PEMDAS.
We just lost half of the listeners. Okay. Now we just said the word PEMDAS. So that's it. Everyone's leaving now. They're like getting PTSD from high school.
I feel like if they made it this far, they probably are in it for the long haul. I feel like we probably lost them. Let's be honest. When I brought up Puddle of Mudd,
you're like, this guy likes Puddle of Mudd. No, this is where I draw the line.
You're like, what the. Not 2003 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, right.
When were they popping off? 2001? It's 2001, actually. I know it's kind of when
they were never
off.
popping off in my world, I'll say that.
Dude, you never listened to like freaking Blurry? You know that song.
I'm sure I've heard it.
Everything's so blurry. You've heard that song.
No, I don't.
They still play it on every single rock radio station.
I'm sure I would recognize it if
With the harmonics at the beginning of the song. You would recognize it.
I'm sure I would. I'm sure. Like I definitely listened to alternative radio through most of my youth.
Can you take it away?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah, that triggered it. Yeah. That's definitely like somewhere in high school or middle school, probably. I don't know. Not middle school.
I'm going to send you that video of them playing the Nirvana song right after this. Anyways.
I got to see it.
All right. We're back on about 2 days later. This is a first. I've never recorded one episode in 2 different days. So that's cool. Welcome back, Baker.
Thank you. I'm very sorry for interrupting our last session. We were on a roll. We were really going with it, and I don't know. I just hope we can regain that magic, that mojo that we had.
I sure hope so. We'll see.
The chemistry, the synergy.
We'll see.
All the buzzwords.
We're gonna talk about some of your hikes that you've done that we haven't covered on the show before, or that I haven't heard about. But I will just say the one silver lining to this interruption is that you've now had the chance to listen to that Puddle of Mudd song.
I was just gonna say, I that was absolutely. I don't really know how to describe it. I was just
Terrible.
yeah, terrible. It was bonkers, man. Like that was. People go watch that. Like, please subject yourself to it. It's worth it just to see. Like, I don't know why they actually released it. Like it's recorded. It wasn't live. I mean, it was they recorded it live, but that doesn't mean they had to release the YouTube video of it. I mean,
It's tough.
also the comment section is really funny too.
Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
just like people saying like, "Oh, this is bad." Like it's a lot of like actually clever stuff. So it's worth watching the video just to understand the context and see those comments. So yeah,
Faux show.
go do it. Go do it.
Okay, so hikes that you've did my voice crack there? I felt like it almost cracked.
I don't know. I think you just got
Hikes that
you just got excited.
I'm so excited to hear about your hikes that I haven't heard about yet, Baker. Let's talk
Okay.
about them. What's one of them?
Well, let's see. Like to be honest, I haven't done any, like huge. I obviously haven't done like long hikes since my retirement from being cool, and now that I'm just a working class man, a corporate man, if you will.
Soldier soul.
Yeah, but no, let's see basically I've done like 2 week long ish hikes in Colorado since one this summer after I finished all my hiking, and then like one last summer as well. And they were both kind of interesting because both times a former guest of yours, Joseph, aka Sweatlines.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah, that's in the single digits, I think, on the
Yeah, I
episodes
think it
there.
is. It's an old one.
He joined Little Bear and I on both of these hikes, which is really cool of him. And it's kind of like becoming a tradition now. It's like an annual thing where we gather in the summer and we go hike around in the woods. But they were both kind of interesting because they involved doing like off trail stuff, route finding, nothing like crazy. Like we weren't like navigating with like the stars or anything like that. But they were both like essentially they're kind of intended to be just a little different than just hiking on like well established trails. And like some of the routes they're pretty well established anyway, so it's not like there's definitely lots of information online about them. But still, you are out there and you're kind of making your way across whatever the terrain throws at you, and it is kind of interesting to have to like you get over a pass and you stop and you're like, oh, where do we go now? You pull out your topo map, kind of like have to scope it out and everything. So it's been pretty cool. The first one we did was a hike in the Collegiate Peaks Wilderness in Colorado, which is so the Colorado Trail / CDT they both go through that area. They're like the same trail through that section. And it's an interesting part of the Colorado Trail / CDT because it actually splits, and there's an east and a west route through.
Is this
the
that
Collegiate.
loop you were telling me about?
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit. Yep. Yeah, so that's the trail splits there. You have an east and west route, and it's pretty popular to make a loop out of it. Because it's just a natural place. It makes like a shorter hike more logistically feasible if you don't have to have a ride from one end to the other. And so that whole area, the Collegiate Peaks area, it also has there's another cool thing through there called Nolan's 14, which is it's more of like an ultra running challenge. But basically there are 14 14ers, which is a 14,000 foot mountain, or a mountain that's at least 14,000 feet high. So there are 14 14ers in there that are all like pretty close to each other. It's like if you were to draw like kind of a line from them, or in between all of them to connect them all, it's like a little over 100 miles, I think.
Okay, interesting.
Maybe it's more than that. I can't remember. But basically, there's like a long-standing ultra running challenge, which we did not do, just to preface. But there is a long-standing one that some crazy people do, which is to summit all 14 of those 14ers in under 60 hours, I think it is.
Oh,
so basically
shit.
2.5 days of just straight up just going over 14ers. I mean,
that sounds good gnarly.
Yeah, it's pretty insane, like the people who do it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So we obviously were not running it. We weren't trying to finish all of them in 60 hours or whatever. And the thing is, the most optimal route involves going essentially off trail. Like, it involves connecting them through sections that don't have trail. There are some trails between some of them, but a lot of it involves going where there's no actual established trails. So our idea was to kind of do some of it because all 14 of them would be quite a challenge. Because
Yeah.
100 miles is like that's doable like in 5 to 6 days, but like the amount of elevation gain, I don't remember how much it would have been, but it's in like the 40,000, 30,000 range maybe. It's
Damn.
like it's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, as you can imagine, you're summiting 14ers, so it's naturally going to be a lot of climbing. So our idea was to do like less of it, or do a section of it essentially. And so it was kind of funny because Joe at the time lived in San Francisco, so essentially at sea level.
Oh yeah, that must have been.
Yeah, so
Damn.
the first couple of days, like I felt so bad for him, but he was a trooper. But
Was he struggling?
Oh, he was struggling. I mean, he nothing like terrible. Like he didn't throw up or he didn't like like he didn't have to bail out or anything, but
Yeah.
like he definitely was feeling it. So like the first night, we were in Colorado Springs where Little Bear and I used to live at the time. So that's like 6,000 feet, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that was okay. And then the next night, I think we camped at the trailhead, which was like 10,000 feet, kind of near Leadville, Colorado.
Yeah.
Then the next night when we were on trail, I think we stayed at 12,000 feet.
Damn.
So he said he had like crazy hallucination fever dreams and all this. He said he woke up just like with the weirdest dreams because his brain was just like, yeah, like lacking oxygen. And the climbs were definitely slow going. Like we had to take our time. And the other thing is, this is just after Little Bear had finished the Colorado Trail, so she was actually like in really good hiking shape.
Yeah,
Like she was blasting up the mountains, and then Joe and I are like, oh, struggling back there. But Joe, especially, just because like I was living at like 6,000 feet, so I was just the difference is not so big coming from sea level. That's a huge difference. But he did it. I think the only like it wasn't a mishap. We had to change the route a little bit. There was one of the 14ers we were going up. We got to like I think it was something like 13. It was like above 13,000 feet. And we got up there and Joe was like, I can't go any further. We were like, we could like see the summit, like we were, 1,000 feet is not nothing. That last 1,000 feet it's significant when you are, I mean, you're at 13,000 feet already, but it was like, we had this amazing window of weather where like normally in the afternoon in Colorado in the summer, you'll get these thunderstorms that roll in. And so basically the idea is like, you start really early, you get above tree line, you hit the summit, and then like you want to be like probably below tree line by around noon is kind of like what most people say to do. But we had this amazing weather window where like there was literally just no clouds anywhere, or there were just like a few small little puffy clouds that just didn't. We had no concerns about a thunderstorm rolling in while we're above tree line. So we literally we're already at 13,000 feet. The view's amazing up here. So we just sat there for like a couple hours and like chilled. And Joe was like, let's just stay up here. I'll like try to acclimate some more, and just try to like feel a little better. And so we just chilled up there, and like people would come by. We'd like chat with them. We like met this guy who had done all the 14ers like 2 times over or something like that. So it was
He's
pretty,
probably acclimated then.
Yeah, he was fine. He felt good. But yeah, it was pretty funny how we were like, we're so close, but he was like, it was just getting to the point in the day where it was starting to be, it was like 3 p.m. or something, which is so late. Like most people wouldn't even be up there. But again, the weather was so good. But we knew that after that peak, after the summit of that peak, we were going to be going through an off-trail section. And so we knew that like we would need a lot of daylight to navigate through all that. Because I mean, like you have to imagine like a mile of off-trail. It depends on the terrain, but like a mile of off-trail can take like 3 to 4 times as long to traverse it, because depending on what you're going through, it could be woods, it could be like a talus or scree field.
See, I was going to ask about that because I feel like when I hear about people bushwhacking on the East Coast, it's pretty easy to imagine what they're going through. But out West, it's like, okay, when you say you were bushwhacking, were you going through forest, or were you just kind of like walking above tree line where it like it's not even that much?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like maybe it is difficult. I don't know. I've never done it, but
no, it really just depends, right? So it runs the whole gamut. So like the next day we went back down, we did summit that. I think it was at Yale or Columbia, I don't remember. But then we did summit it the next day, and then so the next part involved like kind of going down below on the other side of Yale or Columbia, whichever one it was, and then going so the first part when you're going down off of it was like above tree on like a tundra, right? So it's like kind of like little scrubby grass or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
that part's like easy walking, right? As long as it doesn't get too steep, it's not bad. Then the next part was I would describe it as scree. I think that's the term that most people describe it as, which is basically like it's like loose rock that's small. So there's scree is like small rock, and then talus is what I call like larger rocks or boulders. And so, but this was scree. So like basically, and it was steep too. So you're basically like as you're stepping, like the ground's kind of sliding out below you, and
Mm-hmm.
you're on the side of a steep mountain. So it's kind of nerve wracking, to be honest. It was like the first time I'd really ever been on that kind of terrain, but it was the way the route, we had like GPS and like, the whole topograph map on our phones and everything. And that was the way the route was going. So we went down it, but that just took forever, right? Because like any second you're afraid, like it's just going to all slide out below you and you're going to go like
Yeah,
tumbling
that's
down.
sketchy.
It was kind of sketchy, but I don't know. You get used to it. Like you kind of figure out like what a piece of solid ground looks like versus like that looks kind of loose. Don't step on that. And we did eventually get down. Again, it took longer. Like if we were descending on a trail, it probably would have taken us like a third of the time to get down. But we did get down, and then immediately after that, we went into like heavily dense, like very dense woods, and that was challenging, not because of the like there's not really underbrush as much in Colorado. There definitely are some parts, like if you're near water, you'll get like kind of scrubby bushes.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times there's not much underbrush. But what there is like basically if you're in the middle of a forest, there's obviously like a ton of down trees, right? And like really
Yeah.
big down trees. So like climbing over them is not trivial because they have like, huge branches sticking out from them. So you have to like
Yeah.
break through the branches to get on top of this thing and then get over it, or you have to go around it. So we spent like another hour or two just like trying to get through these. I don't know. It was probably like only a mile and a half at most, but it was like it took us like 3 hours probably, or like 2 hours to get through this wooded section, and that was probably the least fun part of. Like the other parts, I enjoy like the above tree line off trail stuff, but the below tree line, like I'm not a huge fan of it still. But sometimes it's just necessary. There's not really a way. Like we had to cross a valley with a creek at the bottom, and of course, near the bottom of the valley, you're gonna have trees. So um, we had to do that. But when we found trail again, I remember we were just so excited. We were like, oh, because we're just walking through the middle of the woods. We're like, we could kind of see where we were going. You could kind of see the mountain that we were trying to get to like the next day. So we're like using that to orient ourselves. But like, I don't know. It was a brutal day. But when we found trail again, we were just so excited. That was like an amazing feeling. And then I think the next day, or so then that night, we actually realized we were really close to the Colorado Trail. So we hiked over to it, and we hiked to a trailhead where someone on Gut Hooks said you could order pizza from Buena Vista, which is like a town. So we literally ordered like, I don't remember, it was like 2 or 3 large pizzas for like 3 people. It was a lot of pizza, but we were at this point we were exhausted because we had been like basically off trail like most of the day.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we just devoured some pizza. We basically just camped at like a trailhead. Usually like the trailheads have like it's like the AT, like they have like a campsite, a couple fire rings there or whatever. So we just camped there and like, yeah, we just devoured that pizza. So that was an amazing, that was like amazing because yeah, just, that was not expected. Like we didn't know about that until like, Little Bear had the Gut Hooks Colorado Trail app on her phone still. And so we just saw that like someone said you could get pizza. So that was,
Well, that worked out pretty
nice.
well. Jeez.
Yeah. It was kind of like the RPH. Is it the RPH shelter in
Oh,
Pennsylvania?
I know what you're talking. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but it's the one where like you can order like a bunch of different.
There was a couple different ones. There was the one in
there
Pennsylvania. There was one in New York too. I remember. I don't
Yep.
remember the names of any of them, but
Yeah, it's much more rare like out west, I would imagine, because things are more remote. But this was like, I mean, like the cab driver or the pizza driver had to go up like a really gnarly road. Like my car is like a low clearance vehicle; it wouldn't even make it. Like you have to have like a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get up to this trailhead.
damn,
And,
they must be really raking it in from the Colorado Trail hikers to make that worth it.
They had like a standard delivery fee, which I was like, that makes sense because
Yeah.
it's like this was not your ordinary delivery mission. So yeah, and then
That's
I think
awesome.
the next day, like we were supposed to get up really early because we were supposed to do 2 14ers. They were like right next to each other.
hmm
And so the alarms went off, and then like Joe just like peeks his head out of his like tarp, or whatever. And he's like, "What if we just like don't hike those today or something like that because we were just exhausted from the previous day, and I think he was still kind of acclimating and everything. So we ended up just like spending a day where we walked down to like there's like a side trail down to a lake. We like went to this beautiful alpine lake, like napped there like in the trees like the whole day, just hung out, and then went back to that. And then we went to like kind of the base of the mountain, got ready to like climb it the next day. And then the next day we went and climbed it and everything. But that was pretty fun. Like we had this like route and we ended up just having to almost change it completely. Like we had to like cut out parts because we just didn't get as far as we wanted to between like Joe acclimating and the bushwhacking. And just honestly, we just kind of overestimated like how difficult it would be. That's what was cool about it, right? It's like, it was like so very unpredictable, but the collegiates are amazing because there's so many trails through there that it's really easy just to kind of reroute and just go a different way if you want. So yeah, it was really cool.
I gotta look into that. I mean, yeah. I really should come out and visit you. I mean, I got no excuse to not hike in Colorado when I have you and Little Bear living right there.
Absolutely. I mean, like I think we live like 2 hours from the collegiates now, maybe a little less. So we're pretty close, I'd say. So yeah, no, this summer I have lots of plans to go out there, and I don't know. I'm excited for this summer. So yeah, the collegiates are amazing because there's just so much. They're beautiful. There's so much good stuff in that area. So
yeah, I've heard good things. I just heard a lot of good things. I heard some bad things in that story too, but overall, mostly good things.
We don't have to go off trail. That was just our choice. You could even do cool stuff where you just peek back the 14ers and like you can just follow the Colorado Trail and like hit all the 14ers. They're like out and back trips to do them, but it's not that big a deal. So.
Do you have any sketchy lightning stories from your time in Colorado yet?
No, I've been pretty good at avoiding lightning. Like it's been, I've been pretty fortunate. Little Bear definitely has some from the Colorado Trail.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, she has a few, but I haven't. Yeah, I've been pretty good at either getting up early or just getting really lucky with weather. So that was like 2 summers ago. This summer we did another one. This one got foiled by a freak early winter storm. I don't even want to say early. It was like early September. It's not that early. I mean, it can happen in Colorado, but like basically, like Joe is supposed to fly out, and like a couple days before he's flying out, we're looking at the weather and we're like, okay, there's like a winter storm coming in. It's not that big a deal. Like maybe we'll just, we could handle like a couple inches of snow.
Yeah.
And then we're looking and it's like, okay, we can handle maybe like 6 inches of snow. And then like the day before, like after he arrives, we look at it's like, like several feet of snow. And we're like, oh my gosh, like that's probably because we're also going to be off trail. So like you have to imagine we'd be going down like really steep, what would be a talus field, which is basically a bunch of big loose rocks, but then it's covered in snow. So it's like if you're on if there's like a trail there, you could switch back down it, right? But like we would just have like a big steep snow field we'd have to navigate down, or really probably more like a bunch of rocks mixed in with a bunch of snow and ice, and like this just doesn't sound like a good idea to be out in the middle of nowhere off trail trying to like go through this, through a bunch of snow. So we cut the route a little shorter. We made like kind of a shorter loop out of it. And we timed it like just perfectly. Like as we were rolling in, going back to the trailhead, the second we got into the car, it like started to rain a little bit. And then as we drove down into town, like we got into a restaurant and then just hail just started dumping. And then from there, it was just like it snowed for like, I think like 2 days. It's probably the most snow we've gotten this whole winter. Like, I don't even think it snowed. I was like, Joe, you literally picked the 1 month out of like, the 1 week out of like, it was like, because I hiked after Joe was here early September, I did like 14ers pretty much every weekend. And there was like perfect weather all the way through to November. We didn't really get snow. So Joe just got really unlucky. He keeps reminding us that we convinced him to change it based on like a better vacation time for Little Bear. He was going to come like a week earlier, which would have been perfect, but we convinced him like, oh, wait like 1 week. And then, like it just works out better with Little Bear's work schedule.
And then all hell broke loose.
It was ill-fated, but it was okay because we cut it short, but then we went to like this town that has like natural hot springs, and it was really cold all of a sudden now. And so we like went to these like steaming hot springs and stuff. And like, so it was okay, but I felt bad for Joe because he was out here for like a week, and then like the kind of last 3 days we were like in our apartment, like playing board games, like watching the snow just like dump outside. So yeah, but
Oh well.
that was through the San Juans, like the southern, or like I guess like southern San Juans. And those mountains are amazing. The San Juan Mountains. I don't
I've
know if
heard
you call
about
it,
them. I've heard about them,
dude.
at least
Those
in the
are
context of like a CDT through hike.
yeah. So the CDT definitely goes through there. The Colorado Trail ends in Durango, which is like right in the middle of San Juans,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an amazing hike. Like the whole time, I was just blown away by how beautiful it was. And there was no like there was a one short section of like below tree line bushwhacking, but most of it was just like all above tree line, just like up and down talus fields. And like that past summer, I was like in much better shape, and I was like much more used to like going off trail because I'd been doing it a lot the previous summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just felt in my element. I was just the whole time. I just loved it. Little Bear didn't enjoy some of the talus fields because they were pretty sketch. Like they were. There were a few times where I was like, "Oh, this is a little dicey," but I was like kind of used to it. And Joe was loving it, but it was there were definitely some parts where I was like, "Wow, we're just kind of out here. There's like not really anyone around. Like, I really hope a rock doesn't come tumbling down and just blast us right now." But I don't know.
But you made it.
We made it. It was cool though. So basically, what I'm saying is, I'm off trail is like it's definitely my new thing that I'm very interested in.
I thought skiing was your new thing.
I honestly haven't been skiing a lot. Like winter sports are just things I tolerate until summer comes around. Like I'm not much
Is
of a
that
winter.
the Florida man in you?
I guess I don't know. I'm just maybe not skilled on winter stuff. Also, winter has just seems so sketchy. They're like this has been like a record year for like people dying in the backcountry from avalanches.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, so it's like that kind of deters me a little bit. I'm just not honestly not knowledgeable enough. And just like camping overnight in like negative temperature is like I'll do like 20s. Like 20s is all right, but like once it gets below 20, I'm like, okay, this is a little crazy.
I'm with you. People have said that to me before. They're like, Kyle, you love hiking so much. Why don't you like winter hiking that much? And I'm like, I don't know.
It's really different.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know. Like I can tolerate winter day hikes, but
yeah,
I'm not really into the camping thing. Maybe I'll try it eventually, but it goes for me. It goes summer hiking, backpacking is number one by far. Yeah. And then second for me is skiing, and then third is winter hiking. Sorry everyone. I know Kyle hates hiking, haha. But
I also think like for me the margin of error is so much slimmer in the winter. Like if I twisted my ankle in the summer, I might be chilly overnight, but I have like enough gear to like survive for a few days out there until someone finds me. Like in the winter, even if you're day hiking, especially if you're day hiking, if you don't really have the proper stuff with you and something happens, like if you have to spend a night out there and you're not prepared, like you could easily die. Like,
people do.
Yeah. And so that's the thing that's like, I don't know, for me, like I'm very confident that in more summer-ish conditions, like I'm more confident that I can go off trail, do these like, riskier things, but I'm more confident in my ability to either rescue myself or figure out some way around it, or even just like being able to collect water. Like if all the water's frozen, you have to have a heat source to boil it, to drink it. It's like, there's just so many things that like little small things like that just kind of add up. Also, there's just like less people out there in the winter. So it's less chance that someone's going to come, run into you and find you. So I don't know. There's just like kind of a lot of things that the winter, I'm just not as experienced with it. And so I just feel a little more apprehensive about it. Also, just sleeping in like below a certain temperature, like sleeping outside is kind of tough. So
yeah, I'm with you, Baker. I'm with you. I know there's probably a lot of people rolling their eyes, but
of course, I mean people do it, which is like kudos to them. But I don't know. It's tough for me.
It's not for me either. Yeah. No.
But I've been eyeballing lots of high routes now. I don't know. Is it something have you had many guests on who've talked about like some of the different high routes and stuff? Like I'm trying to think of
how many I'm sure they've been mentioned at some point, but I don't think
have like whole episodes that focus on them.
I don't think so. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, it's something I've been very interested in. Also, as like a working person, like a lot of the high routes they're shorter, so they're like a week to 10 days, kind of. So that's been something I've also been like, that would be cool to be able to like it's more reasonable to do without having to like quit your job. And
yeah, exactly. So, yeah. How many of the 14ers are there?
There are 58 like official it depends on how you measure them, but there's roughly between 54 and 58.
How many of them have you done so far?
I think I've done like maybe it's in between 11 or 13. I can't remember. I'm not like a
Those are rookie numbers, Baker. Come on.
Yeah, they are rookie numbers. I would say it has a bit of priority. Like I'll choose like if I have 4 days, like I'm gonna just choose some kind of off trail route that might go near a 14er over like because to be honest, a lot of the 14ers. So there are some that are like class 3 and class 4. Class 4 is like kind of beyond my comfort level because it's much more akin to rock climbing. It's not quite rock climbing. Class 5 is basically almost rock climbing. There are people who do class 5 stuff without ropes and harnesses and everything, but I don't know, that's definitely beyond my skill level. Class 4 is like getting close to that. Class 3 is like my sweet spot of like it's fun, but I'm not too terrified, like only a little bit terrified, like not fully terrified. But the majority of them are class 2 or class 1, and class 2 is basically you walk up, but maybe there's like a little bit of talus, something like that. So to be honest, a lot of them are they're not like, I don't know. I like the really interesting scrambly stuff, and the 14ers have like well-trodden trails to all of them, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm going to like choose what to do in a weekend, like I'd rather like kind of go putz around in an area and just like kind of find my way through it, like kind of make a route on the map and just try to figure it out rather than like have to hit like all the 14ers. Also, like you're going to end up driving all over Colorado, and I live like in southern Colorado, so the ones up north are pretty far, and they're usually like a lot more crowded and stuff. Like there's stuff all around, like within an hour drive of me, it's like really interesting stuff. They're not 14ers, quote unquote, but they're just like, the difference between a 14er and a 13er is like you can't tell when you're up there, right?
Yeah,
it's just as fun. And a lot of the 13ers and a lot of the other stuff are like there's not much information online, so there's not like a perfect map that shows you how to get to the top and like a perfectly groomed trail and everything. So I definitely enjoy 14ers, but it's not like I have like a friend that I met doing a 14er actually, that he lives in Denver, and he's basically like on a mission to do as many as possible or do all of them, right? So he's trying to do all of them, and he actually, it's kind of funny, like he's actually through hiked the AT I think like 2 years before we did, maybe 1 year. So I met him up there, and somehow we started talking and ended up finding out that he through hiked the AT like I think like 2017 or whatever. So it's pretty cool. I've done a bunch of other 14ers with him as well, but he's like on a mission to do all of them, which is, I definitely respect that, because it's tough to like every weekend to be out there trying to like, hit the next one, and you like check the weather and all this stuff. So it's definitely, I have a lot of respect for the people who are persistent and can do all of it. Same with like all the stuff in the Northeast. I know there's like a ton of peak bagging projects up there, but it's a serious effort to like hit every single one of them, as because you've done so many of them. So.
I feel like it's a whole nother level out there than the ones here in the Northeast, honestly, because I know very little about the 14ers clearly, and so I didn't even realize that you have to like have some climbing skills for some of those. That sounds pretty gnarly.
There's like probably 4 or 5 of them that are class 4, that are considered class 4. I mean, for Alex Honnold, class 4 is easy, but like if you're not a rock climber, class 4, like people who don't have rock climbing skills do them. It's just like basically the margin of error is much thinner. Is essentially what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be more steep. It's going to possibly be looser. So if you slip on a rock or a rock falls out from below you and you do fall, it's more likely that you're going to be harmed. You're going to suffer a serious injury. Whereas like class 2 and 3, I mean class 3 a little bit more, but not as much. But class 2, it's like it's. If you fall, you're just going to fall on some rocks that are right below you. It's definitely going to be uneven terrain, but it's not going to be like you fall off the side of something. Right. I mean, there's literally there's a thing called the knife's edge, which is literally like, it's kind of like the knife's edge on, what's it called? Katahdin, but it's like, it's actually a straight drop on each side. So you can't even walk on it. It's literally like a point, and people just straddle it and scoot across, like it's, I mean, just Google like Capitol Peak Knife's Edge, and like you can see a video of it.
I think I've seen pictures.
You probably have. It
It
is terrifying to watch people do that. But I mean, it's cool. Luckily, most of them are not that. Most of them are either, there's a few class 3s, and I've done like maybe 2 or I think I've done like 3 class 3s, and they were definitely more challenging. I was definitely more like, okay, I really need to pay attention. If I screw up here, like I could seriously get hurt. But the class 2s are pretty fun as well, because it's more of like it's more adventurous because you're like going on talus or scree, and you have to like kind of find your own route, but they're not quite as dangerous, which is good. So
yeah, not dangerous is good. That
Yeah,
shit's
or
crazy.
less dangerous. So I mean, it's always dangerous when you're way above tree line like that. I think the biggest danger is like lightning, honestly, when you're doing these things.
Yep, that's the one that worries me the most, honestly, even more than the climbing and stuff like that. Although I probably would be worried about the climbing if I actually saw what the fuck I had to climb. But just just in theory, the lightning people that listen to Trail Tales know I don't like lightning.
Yeah,
Which is like the first fucking thing everybody says about Colorado, like, oh, watch out for the lightning after 12 or whatever. So
yeah,
that's a little bit that's actually very sketch. Who am I kidding? For me to think about, but it is what it is, I guess. It is what
yeah,
it is.
yeah. It's just part of it. But yeah, I mean, as long as you just got to watch the clouds and just be really conservative. You see nasty clouds rolling in, you just got to start heading down. And just if you get up really early, I mean, it's rare that you have like an early morning thunderstorm like that. That's just got to get up early and suffer the cold a little bit. But then you get you get down before the weather gets bad in the afternoon.
Here's a question for you. Maybe we've even talked about this before. I can't
Mm-hmm.
even remember. We've talked about some shit on here. How about clothing? What do you wear for clothing when you're backpacking out there? Because I'm thinking about like what the hell I'm gonna wear when I'm hiking out west, and I have no idea because I don't want to die in the sun, but I also
Yeah.
don't want to wear too much clothing and look like a complete duster. So,
Yeah.
what do you wear for like clothing if you especially when you know you're gonna be above tree line and be exposed and stuff?
Right. So I've definitely changed the clothing I wear since like hiking on the AT and even the Arizona Trail, which was sunny, but the conditions are a little different. So the biggest change I've made is that I wear a sun hoodie now. I don't know if you've seen those. They're like popular with like fishermen and it now becoming
sun
popular.
hoodie.
Yeah, I'm surprised you've never seen it. It's pretty popular with like
I'm
hikers
Googling.
too. Yeah, it's literally like exactly what it sounds like. It's a long sleeve shirt that has a hood on it, and it's
Okay.
designed to be worn like in the sun in warm conditions. Like it's not for warmth; it's for sun protection. And so, basically, I wear one of those with a baseball cap.
I wouldn't even need to ask this question if you posted it on your Instagram more often. By the way.
That's true. That's true. You got me. Yeah, I have a sun hoodie which I thought would be too hot, but it's so nice. I really don't. It's not that hot. And the biggest thing is that when you're above tree line, if you're above tree line for hours, especially if you're like for a long time, if it's windy up there, even if you have like a big wide brimmed hat, the wind whipping will like blow the hat sideways, or like if there's like a tail in the back, it'll blow it away. Like I've had times where I first moved out here, I wore one of these big hats above tree line, and I got sunburned because essentially I was above tree line for like a long time, and the wind just blew the hat out of the way, and the sun when you're above tree line, it just roasts you. Like it's the higher you get in elevation, the stronger it is. So basically, the sun hoodie works even when it's windy. And then I wear like that white like pasty sunscreen, that's zinc based stuff.
Yeah.
I wear that on my face because otherwise like the other stuff just seems to kind of wear off too easily. So I look like a total doofus out there, but like I really don't care. It smells nice too. It's coconut scented. But yeah, so I wear that, and then I've my legs have been like debating what to do. Actually, another thing on my upper body is I wear sun gloves. So these are like very thin gloves that just cover your sun. I don't like really using sunscreen as much as I can avoid it, because you have to remember to put it on. You have to carry it. You're kind of grimy when you get your sleeping bag at the end of the day. So I try to avoid using sunscreen if I can and just cover up myself. My legs is where I've struggled the most because I really don't like wearing pants when it's warm out. Like my legs heat up very easily.
Yeah.
So sometimes what I actually did this past September, it was cool enough where this was acceptable, but it was still kind of warm, but it was cool enough, especially above tree line, is I actually just wore wind pants like all day long. It was kind of hot on some of the climbs, but it kept the sun off my legs. Cause like I've had days where I didn't put any like sunscreen on or didn't put any pants on, and my legs just got roasted above tree line. So, I mean, like
you got long ass lanky legs too.
I do. I got lanky legs that are just prime for getting burnt. But if you're above tree line for more than a few hours, like I either use sunscreen or I put the wind pants on. And honestly, once you get above tree line, even in the middle of summer, it can be pretty chilly up there. It could be easily the 60s, and then if it's like with wind, it's cool enough that pants are like not that big a deal. But I've actually been looking into maybe getting some actual hiking pants that aren't just like wind pants. I don't know. I'm still like debating on what I want to do.
Hmm.
But the wind pants have worked okay. I just think on a climb they would be beyond sweaty. So that's kind of why I like think maybe a combination of those and some sunscreen if I really want to not have pants on, but I really need to cover my legs up. But yeah, basically like I try to just cover everything up with physically with clothing if I can, and then if it's something an area I really don't want to put clothing on like my legs, then I use sunscreen. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's definitely the sun is really strong here. Like, and I grew up in Florida, so I'm used to like strong sun, but like it feels like it's stronger here to me. Like I don't know, it's hard to tell, but
Yeah,
it's easily as strong as like when I grew up in Florida. So
it scares me.
I mean, I wouldn't be scared. It's really easy to prevent getting burned, right? Like it's very predictable. Like the sun's out every day. It's not like a lightning strike.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's very like predictable. You just need to like. I mean, if you just wear like hiking pants and like a big hat and like long sleeves,
I like
then, like
shorts though. I'm just
I
like so used to hiking
I do
and what I
too.
hike in. Like I've been hiking in the same like style of clothing like all my life basically. So having
Yeah.
to switch that up completely and wearing like clothing my body's not used to, and I know, boohoo, Kyle, but I don't know.
No, I get it.
I wish I didn't
totally
have
get it.
to. I wish I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
have to.
I'm the same way. I'm debating what to do about the legs right now, but probably I might just do on a through hike. Sunscreen sounds really tough to like. I mean, even just to carry enough of it for like a long stretch, like you have to
Hmm.
carry a pretty large bottle, and your legs like the dirt like sticks to the sunscreen. Let's say your legs are extra dirty, and then your sleeping bag or your quilt or whatever is extra dirty. I don't know.
I feel
I
like
don't
I
know what
see
I'd do with
most
it.
PCT through hikers wearing shorts still.
I think honestly, people just kind of like you get a tan and you just deal with it.
Yeah.
You're also like the average. It depends where you're on the PCT too, right? Some of it's forested, some of it's shaded. You're not at like 13, 12,000, 14,000
Okay.
feet. So I
True.
mean, you are
True.
at times. You're close to it, but it's like I've had days where I've spent like the entire day above 12,000 feet just walking across ridge lines. Those are the days that my legs got roasted. If there was no shade at all. And you don't notice it because if it's windy up there, it feels really cool and breezy. But then at the end of the day, you're like, holy shit, like my legs are just like totally destroyed. So
It happens to
yeah.
your face sometimes if you're skiing on like a warm sunny day.
Oh,
Because like
easily.
so you're like there's snow on the ground and shit. You're skiing,
Yeah.
you still have your jacket on, so then you don't realize it. But then you get home and you just have like a mad goggle tan. You're like, fuck.
Yeah. All the sun reflecting off snow and stuff. So yeah, that'll get you. But yeah, basically you just gotta be like, I just cover up everything because I'm a very pale person and I spend a lot of time outside, so I really don't want to have to deal with like, you know, getting a ton of skin cancer later
Yeah.
on. That's the plan. But yeah, I don't know. You just adapt. Like you just gotta have like different clothing. The sun hoodie is a big one. I would definitely recommend looking into one of those, or just some kind of really large. I wouldn't just wear like a baseball cap though. So like you have to just douse your neck and ears in sunscreen, which to me is like a
Ugh.
pain.
Yeah, I hate
Um,
wearing sunscreen, honestly.
Exactly. So that's why the sun hoodie is clutch. Like there's like a lot of companies make them. I have a Patagonia one I really like, but I think Joe has like one he got on Amazon and he seems to like it. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, I would say like if you're gonna do some sunny hiking, like try a sun hoodie or get a really big hat. But honestly, I would recommend the sun hoodie because when
And
it's
you get
windy,
your arms
still
too,
works.
like lower
Yeah.
arms.
Yeah, it covers the whole your whole arms, and like it also in case the sun's like at a low angle, like they can get below a wide brim hat too. The
Oh,
sun hoodie
true,
just
true.
kind of like covers all of it. So
Okay, all right.
yeah,
Sun hoodie. That's the first I've heard about this, but it makes sense now. And
I'm s-
I like looked at some pictures and stuff, and like I know what it is. I just hadn't
Yeah.
heard the name before.
the term. Yeah, well, that's what I call it. Maybe there's a different word for it, but
No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I see it here.
yeah,
Sun hoodie. Some of these models on Google Images are fucking hilarious. I feel like people modeling hoodies that like it never looks good. Like this guy literally looks like he's about to rob a fucking bank.
yeah. No, it's not a good look. Like it's not fashionable, but it's very functional. So,
Oh,
but again,
bro.
I'm already like wearing like the pasty white like zinc based sunscreen. So I've just given up on fashion at this point. I'm just like I just don't want to get roasted now. So
That's right. You'll never get recognized unless people hear your voice.
that's true. That's true. No one really knows because I've never posted on Instagram. No one knows what I look.
Yeah, no one knows what you look like. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, shit, dude. I think we're with part one. I think we're at an hour now. So I think we're gonna call it there. Oh, we didn't even have we talked about your foothills trail hike at all? I think we did. I think we did
I don't
a while
know if
ago,
we,
maybe.
we did, but that was...
Or maybe we talked about it. Maybe we talked about it non-podcast.
The brief version of it was like, I know you and Flossie had a great time, but Little Bear and I did not have the best of times out there. So it was largely just weather based. Like we went at the end of, it was basically beginning of October. We're like, oh, it'll be fall, changing colors. No. It's like high 80s and just be like crazy humid every single day. And we were coming from Colorado, so we weren't like adjusted to humidity. It was grueling. Like my parents did a section of it. And so we actually met up with them while we were on the trail. Mm-hmm. And they basically like took their time, stopped like every river and stream and all the lakes, and they swam in it and stuff, which that's the way we should have done that. We just like grinded through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We couldn't like just spend time, because it's a beautiful hike. Like all those like beautiful like lakes and, streams and rivers. Like it's amazing. I love that part of it, but we were just kind of like, we really wanted to get it done. We were still like in this through hiker mentality. So we just were grinding. And we should have just probably done a section of it and just enjoyed like chilling in the water every day. Cause it was great when we were chilling in the water. We were like, oh, we're going to make more miles and stuff. So that was kind of our experience. Cause we left, like, it was like fall was starting in Colorado, like the leaves were changing. We're like, oh, this will be like that in, in South Carolina, but nah, it was like a heat wave or something. So it was the opposite. But it was really mostly weather dependent. It wasn't really like the trail itself. The trail itself was really cool. Like it was really, really pretty. Mm-hmm. I would love to do it again in a actually colder season, or like go slower and chill in all the streams and rivers. Cause there were so many really cool little things.
April was perfect for us.
Yeah. April would be good. That probably would have been better.
Your mileage may vary. I'm not sure, but
check the weather, people. That's all I could say. But you can't predict a heat wave. It's just what happens sometimes. Yeah. So.
All right, man. We're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, Baker. I appreciate you doing all these. I want to get you on more. You already know that. We've talked about that.
Yeah, I'm down.
I know that's hard to believe. Even more, you're like, how? Like, what do you mean? He's already on like every other episode.
People are shocked to hear that.
Baker's gonna be on even more, even more,
if that's possible.
So yeah, if anybody has any ideas for themes for the next Baker episode, like I really liked our backpacking gear inventions episode, or like our what was that one? I can't even remember, but they're always
like the Thanksgiving one. Where
the Thanksgiving one. That's right. Like I like the theme. I like the theme episodes. I tried to think of one for this one, but I couldn't really think of one. So if anybody has any theme ideas or like games or anything we can do as an episode, let me know at Kyle Hates Hiking. Don't message Baker it because he won't see it.
Won't see it. Totally ignore it. Sorry. Well, I won't ignore it. I just won't get it. So.
All right. I'm not even gonna have you plug your Instagram this time. So
there's no point. Sorry, everyone.
I just plugged mine. Bye, everyone.
Sorry, all the people who are following me and I'm not posting anything. I apologize.
I apologize for giving Baker the platform to plug his non-existent Instagram. All right. That's it, everybody. 107. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good one.